So I would like to introduce our first speaker, Lisa Zimmerman. Lisa is a 9-year resident of Hillsmere and has lived in Annapolis area for over 30 years. She's an environmentalist, a gardener, landscape designer, and photographer. Her interest in the dark sky led to combining her love of astronomy and photography. So, Lisa, it's all yours.
My father was a naval pilot, and he was also a sailor, and so he began teaching us the constellations. And that's where, I mean, way back when I was 8 years old, that's when I started really looking up at the sky and loving the sky. At first, I was just looking for the Big Dipper, and then Cassiopeia's chair, and Pleiades, and then Orion became something. As a teenager, I was always looking for Orion. So I want to tell you a little bit about Orion. So Orion, the next few slides I took from the NASA website because they have a lot on all the different constellations. So there's a lot of mythology. I think I might have seen something. Yeah, I missed. Okay, sorry. So Orion's belt, and how many of you know how to see Orion's belt in the night sky? Okay, great. So Orion's belt is comprised of the 3 stars, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka, and has served as a guiding light for sailors and travelers throughout history. Symbolically, it represents a beacon of hope and guidance, leading the way through the darkest of nights and the stormiest of seas. And sailors often look for Orion to see where they are. There's a lot of mythology based around the constellations, and across cultures, Orion is often portrayed as a mighty hunter. And so you can see here his 3 stars of his belt and his legs, and his sword is down here. Traversing the heavens with his loyal companions, Canis Major and Canis Minor. Those are the big and little dog, and they're shaped sort of like a square with a little head and a tail. In Greek mythology, his pursuit of the Pleiades and his fateful encounter with Scorpius echo timeless themes of valor, hubris, and the inevitability of fate. So there's a lot of mythology based on all the constellations. Strength and resilience. So the figure of Orion, and now you can really see where the belt is and the shoulders, and here's his arrow and bow. And the most symbolic of all are the 3 stars, how you can identify him, because sometimes the outer stars aren't quite as strong. So the figure of Orion embodies strength, resilience, and prowess. As a celestial hunter, he symbolizes humanity's enduring quest for courage and fortitude in the face of life's challenges, inspiring us to persevere and overcome adversity. So here's another rendering of Orion. There's just so many different renderings. The position of Orion in the night sky has long been viewed as a harbinger of cosmic order. And when you think about it, for me, where I live, leaving at 6 in the morning for work when I did, Orion in the winter was always right there. And it was really nice to see Orion. You know, it's kind of a steady thing to see it. So its appearance during specific seasons marks the cyclical rhythms of nature, reminding us of the interconnectedness of all living things and the eternal dance of the cosmos. So how does that equate to photography? Well, around 40 years ago, I started photographing, bought a regular camera. I went from film to digital to mirrorless to cell phone, like we all do. And this is actually a cell phone picture, believe it or not. This is the dawn. So I consider dawn part of the whole celestial thing. And I get up almost every morning, Fred Halley can attest, and post a picture of the sunrise, except lately it's been so gray. But this picture taken with the cell phone, just quickly to tell you the technology of it, it's shot on live, and then it's changed to a long exposure to create that ethereal look. But the main thing about all any kind of star photography is you need to have a stable location or a tripod. So this was actually stabilized on a table because the only thing that I wanted to be moving was the water. So the water's moving, but everything else. So if you put it on the live exposure, you know, the little circle on the left of your phone, and you take a picture, it's going to be all blurry. Anyway, so the sunrise is part of what I consider celestial photography or sky photography. And this was taken right in Hillsmere with a cell phone. This was taken with a regular camera. And this was taken with a full frame camera, the sunrise. And a lot of people photograph the sunrise and love the sunrise. Every day the sun comes up. It's really wonderful. And this is down in St. Augustine, Florida. So the crescent moon, I'm just going to put this on. The crescent moon can also be called a fingernail moon, a lunar phase waxing until 7 days before or waning 7 days after or waning 7 days before the new moon. So you've got this little smile in the sky for a very brief period before you have the full moon. That was also taken at Hillsmere. So this is a picture of the full moon last winter, the boat parade. And you can see the sky is so bright. It's so bright that you can take a full moon picture and everything else won't be completely blurred because there's so much light that it shuts down the shutter. I hope that's not too technical, but it has a lot to do with star photography and location. Here's another picture of the full moon, and it was very, very bright because there was a lot of snow reflection, and also the moon came up very shortly after sunset, so there was still a lot of light in the sky. This is a cell phone photograph that was taken of the Sturgeon full moon 2 weeks ago, and it was an amazing moon. Did any of you see it when it came out? Oh, it was just a huge moon. It was so beautiful, and there was a lot of light. But the most important part of this photo is the reflection, because the reflection adds a lot to the depth of it and the boats and everything else. But this is the premiere shot. So basically, this is a cell phone shot, believe it or not. This was taken with the cell phone after taking about 10 other photos and experimenting. And then when I finally got it the way I wanted it, the composition, the light, everything about it, then I opened it up in iPhoto, did a little bit of tweaking. Then I pulled into Snapseed and put just the border and my name. So that's all done on the phone. So if you like doing that kind of photography, that's really easy. So that's my plug for iPhone photography. But I will say that this was put on a railing, and it was so it was completely, it was set. So there was no movement at all except for my finger pushing it. So that brings me to star photography. So my love of the stars, my love of photography led me to researching star photography photo workshops. And last October, I had a big birthday, and I was able to go out to Tucson, Arizona, and go on a photo workshop with 6 other people and our instructor into the desert. So if you get really lucky, you can get a shot like this, and I'm going to explain to you how you get that kind of picture. That's actually 12 images that were stacked, and I won't go into the details of what it is, but it's taken with a full frame mirrorless camera, the Sony A7 III, and a wide angle lens. So it was shot at 16 millimeters. So that's why there's a lot of depth of field. And the most amazing thing about this time period last October is that this is the A3 comet. I don't know if you can see it as brightly as on my computer, but the A3 Shuchi-san Atlas comet was visible. Did anybody see it last October? Yeah, so it was pretty amazing. It was an amazing astronomical event because it comes around every 80,000 years. Remember, there was Hale-Bopp comet. Did anybody see Hale-Bopp comet? Long time ago. Recently, we had the Perseids meteor shower. There's always fun things going on in the sky, but this was amazing to be out in the desert shooting this photo. So I wanted to show a quick video about the workshop, just this 2-minute video. This is in the Saguaro National Park at the entrance in the Sonora Desert, and this is Sean Parker, and he's going to tell you about what a workshop is like. Wait a minute, oops. Wait, I need to, here we go. Hopefully you can hear it.
My name is Sean, as you guys know. I've been shooting since 2011. I became a professional and left my desk job about 2014, I want to say. I really enjoy teaching to all skill levels, from novice to professional. I think my laid-back approach will make you very comfortable and relaxed out in the field. I'm going to be taking you around to some cool places. Be prepared to be surrounded by a lot of creativity and inspiration. It's going to be a big collaboration, a lot of fun. You're going to meet some new friends and take away some amazing shots, so I can't wait to show you around.
At first, scared of taking the leap, spending the money, but it's definitely worth it because Sean is very knowledgeable, very professional, and very down to earth to teach you and share what he knows.
It's a really unique experience and opportunity to have somebody like Sean out there kind of walk you through it.
Working with Sean, I found actually very easy. He's obviously very experienced. He's kind of a teacher by nature, so his instructions and his patience and his ability to communicate with different people on different levels, I think, was excellent.
Oh, he's really great. He's patient. He answers all your questions.
Sean, as a teacher, I don't imagine anybody could be any better. I mean, he's very, very patient, and you couldn't ask any more of a teacher than that.
John's really very laid back, very calm, but explains things very well, and kind of works with you. It's almost like you're working as partners.
If you're at all interested in shooting the night sky or becoming a better photographer, just kind of stepping outside of your comfort zone, the knowledge and skills that you'll learn are absolutely worth it, and you're going to have a great time.
So that is a plug for Sean. So it was really amazing. And if you ever think you want to do something interesting, go on a workshop, whether it's photography or whatever it is. So this is the Saguaro National Park. It's the Sonoran Desert, which is one of the largest deserts. It extends all the way from Arizona. This is outside of Tucson, Arizona, all the way down through Mexico. And we had to go out at sunset because the Milky Way would be setting about 3 hours after sunset. So we had to get there early and get set up right at sunset and then go out into the dark. So this is what it looks like, and this is a headlamp, and this is what we use, this red lamp, because as you can see, this red lamp shines like this, but it doesn't hurt your eyes, whereas if you were to use this, which I won't even shine at you, it's really bright and it affects your eyesight. So we use these. We use the bright light to get to where we were going. So you can see we're getting set up. There's still a little bit of light in the sky. And now it's really dark, and it's so dark that you can't see anything. And somebody actually, I always thought I was going to be the one, but somebody did back into the cactus. And you can see, so we're setting up, we're using our big headlamps to get set up because there's a little bit of danger. There's snakes, and there's cactus, and there's little cactus, and there's cholas, and they can go through your shoe and all kinds of things. But it was just so much fun. And so this is using my headlamp at my camera, and you can see that this is what I'm seeing. Now you can hardly see it because it's pitch black. But in some of the photos that we took, he did what's called light painting in photography. and he used a flashlight and he lit up the cactus. But as you can see, you don't really know what you're getting. You have to focus on composition pretty much and the correct settings, which I'm not going to go into because it's very technical and Dennis told me not to do technical stuff. Anyway, so, oh wait. This is your eye as the versus the camera versus, gotta move this out of the way. Well, this is your eye versus the camera versus post-editing. So the first one, this one, that might be how you can see it. You don't see much. This is what the camera sees. Just like those northern lights that we had last fall, your phone could pick up light that we didn't even see. So the phone has extrasensory imaging in it. And then post-processing, you pull out what you want. I'll get into that a little bit later. But that's the difference. That's your eye, that's the camera, and that's the post-editing. And again, so this is probably, I don't know, it seems to me that's a little bit overexposed, but this is Lightroom over here. And you basically adjust all your sliders for exposure and contrast, highlights, all different kinds of things. But the most important thing is to set up your camera right to start. Because if you don't have the right settings, it takes a lot of post-processing and you can have washout and everything else. And if you're lucky, you get this. So this is another one of my favorites. So this is the Milky Way with the A3 comet again, and exactly all the same, 12 photo shot. You take it out of the camera, you convert it from RAW to a JPEG, and then you stack the 12 in something called star stacks, which compresses all of your images into one image. It's exported as a TIFF for those of you who are photographers. So how do you plan for Milky Way photography? One of the important things, as I was saying, is time of year, because right now you could go out to Assateague Island and you can photograph the Milky Way. It's called the dark night. You can photograph it between 3 and 5 in the morning. But last October at sunset, we were just seeing the tail end of it. We had a few hours before it was going to go over the horizon. So the time of year is really important. And then, of course, the weather. You don't want it to rain. I was so thankful it didn't rain for my workshop because I didn't know what we were going to do. Then you have to think about light pollution, which we're going to talk about dark sky, which everybody has already been versed on. And there is a little bit of light pollution here, by the way. That's definitely light pollution. And the moon phase. So as we saw, the full moon had too much light, so you couldn't see the stars. So we want to make sure that we have no moon or very little, one of those little smiley crescent moons. And your location. Your location means that what do you want for your foreground? Do you want to have cactus? Do you want to have buildings? If you go to Assateague, there's some old buildings where some of the nightscapers go. Out in Arizona, of course, there's just these amazingly beautiful cactus. So you choose what you want for that. And if you're lucky, you get this. So this is another one of my favorites. The only problem with this one is that this was one of the first ones, and I couldn't see the comet. I didn't know where the comet was, and the comet is behind one of these, unfortunately. I might have to Photoshop it in, if you know what that is, because it's pretty amazing. But that picture, that's actually one of the pictures we processed in the next day. We had a lesson in post-processing. Post-processing in photography, it's not just point shoot anymore, it's post-processing. You shoot in RAW. You've got to do all kinds of configurations to make something look professional and good in the way you want it. A lot of creative aspects to it. So planning for light pollution. So this is the dark sky map, as you've all seen. And you need to travel outside of town, typically, get away from the light, although you'll see in the next image that we are just loaded with light here on the whole eastern seaboard. And look for national parks, because typically they will have a lot darker sky, because they're just surrounded by woods, hopefully. And there's a dark sky app, which most of you probably have if you're going out and looking for particular stars or whatever. And then this is the blue marble light pollution map, and that's right here. And darksky.org. That's where this image came from. And the slide was credited to Sean Parker Photography. So there's the dark sky map. So dark sky meaning we want to use downlighting, we want to use lower lumens, we want to use less light, we want to turn our light off at night. I mean, all kinds of reasons, but you know, with all this commercial building and everything in cities, it's just so bright. It affects the migration of animals. And so if you go out here, you can see there is a lot more dark sky. And if you're lucky, you get one of these. Okay, this is another one of my favorites because that is the weirdest looking cactus I've ever seen. It's a saguaro. It's still the same photo shoot with the. Now Dennis told me I have 5 minutes, but now I've got to rush. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you because I think it's really pretty. So shooting star trails, just I guess quickly to go over how you do it. You need to shoot towards Polaris, which is the North Star, which is the polar star, and I'm going to get to that in 1 minute if I can make it through. You need to locate where you want to shoot, like we said, location, and single long exposure, which we did not do, but some people try to do, or intervals. This is 145, well, not this, but my picture was 145 shots, and then it's put into something called sequator. It's another little thing, and you need to shoot. So my photo that you saw initially was 45 minutes of shooting, 12-second exposure every 15 seconds for 45 minutes, and then pressed together. But in order to find the polar north, the Polaris, which is the North Star, to get this kind of star trail, you need to find the Big Dipper, and then look up from the bucket, and you'll go to the North Star, which is Polaris. And then you get that, if you're lucky. I'm not crazy about it, but everyone else seems to think it's great. I don't know. But that's how you get that. And then there are some local dark sky locations in Virginia and West Virginia. I don't know about Maryland. I guess Maryland, Assateague. I don't know why Assateague wasn't listed on this, but Staunton River State Park, James River State Park, you know, that's like the lower part of the Chesapeake Bay. The Natural Bridge State Park, Sky Meadows State Park, and Rappahannock County. Now, Rappahannock County is relatively close because I've been there. My cousins have a little farmette thing there. And you go to Front Royal at 66, and you can just go about half an hour from there and you get to this amazing little park that is Deep Sky certified. That's Deep Sky certified simply means that, you know, that there's no light pollution. And then in West Virginia, and I think there's probably more than these, but Watauga State Park, Calvin Price State Park, and Droop Mountain Battlefield State Park. So just to wrap it up, if you are interested in doing this kind of photography, you need the post-processing software besides a full-frame camera and a wide-angle lens. You use Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Lightroom, StarStax, and that's all. So, any questions?